Hi, everybody. I'm Cynthia Kane, and I'm going to be doing a session tonight on APA style, some tips and tricks for using the American Psychological Association, hopefully a lot easier and a lot more effectively for you as students here at ESU. I'm going to be using a PowerPoint presentation and then also showing you some online help features for the APA style. And toward the end of the session, I will show you a link for our workshops that we've been doing on Wednesday afternoons and also on Wednesday evenings through Zoom. The link that I will show you for the workshop schedule will also be where you can find the PowerPoint presentation that will accompany this particular session. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and start taking a look and all the different things that we can do with APA style online. Now, some of you watching this may be very familiar with using the American Psychological Association format if you're in disciplines such as education, psychology, counselor education, art therapy, and the School of Library and Information Management. If you are a little bit familiar, and even if you aren't, sometimes it's kind of nice to see some of the differences between APA and other citation styles. Now, believe it or not, there really is a philosophy behind using the APA style. APA is designed specifically for scientific research with an eye toward publication. Now, what does that mean? Well, when you do APA citations, you have probably noticed that there are certain formats that you need to follow, such as using the last name of an author and then the initial of that author's first name. And then directly after that, we'll usually have the year of the item, such as a book or an article in parentheses. And you might think, well, why would I need to do something like that? Well, actually, the reason is that APA tends to focus upon two things. They focus very much upon the currency of information. So in scientific disciplines, such as the behavioral sciences and the hard sciences even, it's really important in a lot of topics to have as much current information as possible. Because of that, they really want to put the emphasis upon the year or the date of publication. And we see that when we're doing our internal citations when we're writing the paper as well. The other part that really distinguishes APA from other citations is that we do use the initials of the author's first names. Why do we do that? Well, in terms of APA style, they do not necessarily want the focus to be upon something such as the gender of a person. So, in other words, if I were reading an article, I don't want to be necessarily prejudiced in my mind between a man writing this, a woman writing this, someone identifying as another gender writing this. I would want the focus to be purely upon the research and nothing else. And that is what will also distinguish APA from other citation styles, such as MLA or even Chicago Manual of Style. In other words, that has to do with dispensing with minor distractions. Now here, we will see that APA, Chicago Manual of Style, which is another style that you might be familiar with, and also MLA are a little bit different. This is the very same article, only it appears in 3 different citation styles. So for example, with Chicago and also with MLA, we do see that the author's names are spelled out. And we also see that there are some other unique features, such as the title of the article, all of the words being in capital letters. In other words, they're capitalizing the proper names or the proper nouns of all of the words in the title of the article. We don't necessarily have that with APA style. The other thing with APA that we don't have is a use of double quotation marks, unlike what we see in Chicago and also in MLA. So it's all just a little bit different. Also notice with MLA, we're also using things such as the name of the database that we got this from, the word web, showing that was retrieved from the World Wide Web, and also the date that this was actually retrieved. We're not really using that with APA or even with Chicago. Now, one thing to keep in mind, And you may have done this from time to time. If you have used any electronic databases such as Academic Search Premier or Business Source Premier, all databases now, more or less, will offer something that is called a cite or citation tools feature. Basically, what that means is that you can take a citation or a reference that you find in a database for an article. You can click on something called Cite or Citation Tools, and you can choose for that to be actually then converted into the appropriate citation style that you're using. You can do this with a number of citation styles. But here's the kicker. This is something that's really important to remember. That information is only as good as the original information in the database. And I have a good example for you here. This was a citation that I found from a database called Academic Search Premier. I wanted it to be an APA style. So I told the database what I wanted it to do, and then I copied and pasted it. But look what happened here. Notice that all of the words in the title of this article are capitalized. We already know that we don't do that with APA style. You know why that happened? Because in the original reference that I found in the database, these words were capitalized. And the citation tools feature is not intuitive enough to say, oh, that needs to be changed for APA. Now, that doesn't necessarily happen in every database. If you're using something such as the PsycInfo database, which is also from the American Psychological Association, the chances are much, much better that those will be correct as far as APA is concerned. Not necessarily in other databases that are not specifically geared towards psychology or the behavioral sciences. So you know what I'd have to do with this? I'd have to do a little bit of editing, make these in lowercase, and then I would be good to go. And by the way, if you ever get any papers returned from your professors that have marks all over them, and they say, well, these are not correct citations in APA, the chances are pretty good that you might have gotten into some databases that didn't have the correct information to begin with. It's not your fault. It's not anything you did wrong, but it just means that you really need to double and triple check all of these citations when you're getting them from other databases and you're saying that you want them in to be in a specific citation style. So just be sure that you're checking your work very carefully. Well, I've provided a few links here that can help with some online APA style questions that you may have. Now, none of these are an exact substitute for the publication manual of the American Psychological Association, which was published in 2009. If you are physically at William Allen White Library, if you come to the reference desk, we will show you where we have a print copy of this publication manual, and you're more than welcome to use it in the library. However, you might be writing a paper at 2 o'clock in the morning, or you might be a distance education student, and you're not here on the Emporia campus. These are some links that I would like to go over with you that can at least answer maybe some basic questions that you might have when you're writing a paper in APA style. So, one down here, I'm going to start actually with this one down here first. This is from a site that's called the Online Writing Lab, or OWL for short, from Purdue University. This is probably one of my favorite sites to go to. This online writing lab covers both MLA and APA. So this is the link that I provided for you for the APA formatting and style guide. What I really like about this is that I can scroll down. And if I clicked on this link for in-text citations, the basics, this is going to tell me some very general guidelines of doing a citation within a paper itself. So in parentheses, I put the last name of an author, if I'm doing a direct quote or a paraphrase, and then the year of publication. And it also reminds me how to do short quotations, how I should format longer quotations, how I should do a summary or a paraphrase, and when I should add page numbers as well. And if I go back up here, when I start looking at the reference list, which is what we call the bibliography of a paper in MLA, I can click on this link, and again, this will give me my very basic guidelines of how to cite different articles in journals or magazines or newspapers, or a letter to the editor or a book review. Now there's another part in this site that I really like to show people, and it's this link that says APA sample paper. And when I click on this media file, I really love this part. This is a sample paper written in APA style, and this is one of your best guidelines if you ever need any guidance on how to do a running head for a paper, for example. What should go on a running head? Part of the title of the paper. The green text boxes will contain explanations of APA style guidelines, and the blue boxes will contain directions for writing and citing in APA style. So as I look at this will tell me how the front page, how the cover page should be formatted, the title page. If I needed to write an abstract of my paper, this will tell me how to do that. And then I can see how the rest of the paper actually should be formatted, including different headers such as literature review and so forth. And as I scroll down to the very bottom of this sample paper, this will also show me how the references list should be formatted in APA style. And again, in APA, we call this particular page references rather than works cited or a bibliography. These are the references that I have used in the paper. So if you ever have any questions about how a paper should actually be formatted or how it should look, definitely go to this APA sample paper link, and that will tell you exactly what you need. There's a bunch of information here that is very, very detailed. Like I said, probably one of my favorite sites to look at. And any updates for the APA site for the OWL at Purdue will be actually available at this link as well. The next link is APA Frequently Asked Questions. Now, this is directly from the American Psychological Association. I like this because if I go over here to this link on Frequently Asked Questions, I have not only general information, if I needed any quick overviews of how to do a reference, basically how to do something for a book with no author or editor, I answer that question quite a bit. This will give you an example for both print and electronic, the way that it should look. We'll click back here. And you notice that there are some references here to Facebook and to Twitter. I'm going to come back to that in just a second because that's something that's becoming increasingly, I won't say popular, but increasingly used because there might be some good information from social media that you would need to put in a paper. This is also going to give you some reminders of punctuation in APA style, and even how your grammar and writing style should be in formatting a running head. So that is covered under Frequently Asked Questions. But for more detailed questions that you may not have access to otherwise, I strongly recommend going to this next link, which is the APA Style blog. This is probably one of my favorite things to show students. I mentioned social media just a few seconds ago. I get questions from students because it may not seem that scholarly, but let's say for the sake of argument that there is somebody who's very famous in your field, and that person has a Twitter feed. Well, you might want to quote something that that person has said in their Twitter feed. If I were to go over here to search the APA Style blog, and if I just typed in social media, notice that I have several articles. I have a general article on social media, and I could also go to this one that talks about how to cite social media in APA style. And they're covering Twitter, Facebook, and Google Plus in this one. And they're talking about different ways of citing personal communications, in-text citations, and reference list entries, and some example citations. There's a tweet from Bill Gates, for example, and a tweet from Stanford Medicine. And Neil Gaiman. So we have a Facebook status update, and that's something, again, that I might want to cite in APA style. So the APA style blog is probably one of my most useful references to use when I have some things that I just simply am not finding in the publication manual, or I just need a quick, basically just kind of a quick how-to. If I click on About Us, this is the other reason that I go to the APA style blog. It is the official companion to the publication manual, and they note that it's run by a group of experts who work with APA style every day. So really what I'm getting is the most current information about how to use APA style, particularly when it comes to citing. So this is really one of my go-to references anymore, and I hope it becomes one for you as well. I just really like it. And the last link that I wanted to go to here is this one at the bottom. This is a research guide that I wrote for APA citation style help. Now, this is not nearly as detailed or as definitive as the OWL at Purdue site. It is probably most useful, though, if you just need a really quick reminder of how to do a reference for journal articles, for example, or books, or test reviews, or anything like that. Now, if you were to click on this tab, this is actually going to open another guide. I have another workshop for our Wednesday workshop series that deals with Zotero, which is a free bibliographic software program for organizing your research. You can create bibliographies in APA or other citation styles, and you can also integrate your research into Microsoft Word using Zotero. So you can be writing a paper, and you can use Zotero to integrate an in-text citation and to start creating your references list in Microsoft Word automatically. We will have another workshop for this. It will be on Wednesday, October 19th of 2016. It will also be recorded as this one is. So I would encourage you to participate in that or watch the recording afterwards. And I'd love to help you more with that as well. The link that I have here is actually another way that you can get some additional quick help when it comes to APA. I'm going to let this load. It's kind of taking a little while on connecting. This link is actually a series of video tutorials that the American Psychological Association has done. And what it will do, there it goes. It's kind of taking just a little while. I'm going to stop this for just a second. This is based directly upon the publication manual from APA. And what I like about this is that if you go over here, you can get some really quick video tutorials on maybe a very, very short question that you might have. So for example, I clicked on this one. Maybe what I need is just this really short minute tutorial of how to cite my references in the text of a paper. So you notice that it has a few little samples here, but if I were to play this, this will give you just a very quick overview of citing these references in text. And you'll notice that there are a lot of other ones here too. So you can either navigate over here to skip around and go to whatever it is that you would need, or you could play the entire tutorial, which would be a fairly comprehensive overview of the basics of APA style. So again, this is directly from the American Psychological Association. It's another really just a good resource to have on hand. I mentioned Zotero just very quickly. Again, we will be doing that later on in our Wednesday workshop on October 19th. RefMe is another free bibliographic software program. Zotero works with Firefox and Google Chrome and Safari. RefMe tends to work with a few more browsers. They both allow downloading of citations. Zotero, as I said, integrates a little bit more with Microsoft Word, and RefMe, you can copy and paste bibliographic citations. If you ever have any specific questions about like how to use Zotero, And the workshop doesn't really answer all the questions that you need that I will be doing. When I skip to this last slide, I want to give you a quick plug for anything such as Zotero or APA style or anything else. My email address is ckane1@emporia.edu. You can email me. If you are physically on the Emporia campus, I would love to set up an appointment with you one-on-one, and we can sit down together and work through any questions that you have with research. If you are a distance education student, or even if you're here in Emporia and you are just super busy with everything, I can set up the same type of Zoom session that I'm doing with you right now. And with this would enable us to share our screens back and forth. You could share your screen with me. I could help you with research, help you set up something, and then that might be able to answer any questions that you have. But please, please contact me with anything, any help that you need, and this is what I'm available to do. Well, thank you for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed our Wednesday workshops so far, and stay tuned for more. Going back over here, libguides.emporia.edu/workshops is where you will find all of our information about our Wednesday workshops. And as I mentioned, this is also where you will find supplemental materials, plus all of our previous recordings of our workshops so far for this fall semester. Thank you for watching. Good luck with your research.